shooters, loaders, and casters. Welcome to the Georgia Shooting Connection Friday night live stream. Hope y'all all had a great week. Thank you for joining us. Already got some pretty familiar names and faces out there.
Oh, which wasn't that bad.
Especially thanks to our panel members. And there's Mr. Hillbilly. CW, how was your week?
It was a great week. Great to see everybody. We had some good weather. I got to the range, got to do some shooting, made a couple videos. All around, good week. Hillbilly, just skating in the back door there. You missed all the pizza. Rick ate it all this time. What's going on?
Man, I come sliding in right there at the end, man. Or at the beginning. Sorry about that. I was mowing the yard and I was trying to get it finished up before the show started. So, oh man, I had a good week. Got a little bit of shooting in, but mainly got more rain than I did range time. So anyway, pretty good week though. How about you, Six?
Oh, it's been a pretty good week. Can't complain. We got through the weekend last weekend, and then got to do some shooting. Got some more reloading done. So, pretty good week. But you, Rebel?
Well, CW pushed all that. He used his Thor card and pushed all the rain down to us. And boy, we've had it this week. And more dudes. It's beautiful tonight, but thunderstorm's supposed to roll in and maybe tomorrow, and then Monday and Tuesday look beautiful. And I'm probably going to set the boat out and go bass fishing. And that's all I got. So, Kyle.
What's going on? Good evening, everybody. The only thing we can shoot around here is fish. It's been raining so much. I got to replace a fence in my backyard, and it's too wet to even attempt to even walk to it. So that's what I got going on. What about you, Andy? You're muted, Andy.
The weather's been raining, and I don't live that far by the crow's fly from CW, so he said he had to cut out shooting. But nothing much, just getting the race car set up to go take her out for the season. I don't race anymore because there's just no local places to race, but I do go to some car shows and things. And that's about it.
All right. I want to thank all of y'all for being here tonight and helping us. My week was semi-tragic. My Fitbit took the dirt nap.
Uh-oh.
What the heck's a Fitbit?
Thank you.
Is that a watch?
No.
This thing.
Okay.
How in the world can you exercise without that now?
Well, I'm just using the health app on my iPhone. I got it for Christmas for 2022, and it's lasted 2.5 years. And I don't know what to tell you. It's been inspiring to me to make me get up and move. My goal is 250 steps per hour. I'm a dad dang, dude. Like I need a watch to tell me I'm fat. The mirror does a good job of that. But,
Well, at least you only had to get a watch to tell you. Hell, I got a phone to tell me.
I got a wife that tells me.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
Jody could live without her little watch. And she came home one day and she fell asleep. And I went over there. I don't know how to use her watch. I started messing with it. And she said, "What are you doing with my watch?" I said, I'm trying to see how many miles you walked today. She picked it up. 7. 7 miles. That's a nurse for you.
When I was in the hospital,
Yeah,
I couldn't
no
believe
doubt.
the miles I put on running around my buildings. I swore the thing was false. There's no way I could walk, 5 or 7 miles a day. There's no way. But they consistently told me I was doing that.
Yeah, that exercise and those watches and all the apps and stuff, man, it is great, to keep a person exercise. But I'm just most usually way too busy, so I just contract that out to somebody for me. I ain't lost any weight, but I'm still waiting.
I keep up with it
Real
on
good
my
numbers.
phone. I keep up with it on my phone. I'm way behind in my usual stuff. I did about 3.5 miles today.
I do that before my first break.
I usually do too. So say I'm behind today.
It's funny to watch the weekly recap. My off days are Wednesday and Sunday, and so
You lose no miles.
I'm way up
Right.
here, way up here,
You're way up here, and all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, are you alive? And then Thursday comes, bam, here we go.
Oh, listen at Rollis. Steve Jobs would be angry if he found out it lasted that long. Let me tell you something. Google bought Fitbit. So if you buy one now, you got to have a Google account to get the app and all that. But let's get started right here. Bobby Barlow has a reloading question. Is anybody loaded with compressed loads? And how scared was you to shoot them? I'll answer that first. I was not scared because the load data was in the book. Maybe I should have been, but I wasn't.
Every single 308 round that I shoot, my pet load out of my
It's compressed.
Weatherby, it's compressed. And the first time, I was more scared the first time I seated the bullet than I was when I pulled the trigger because, like Jamie said, the data was there.
Consistently, all you're gonna find is all your best loads are over 100% density, which means compressed.
Yep.
But it depends on the powder. As long as you're following the book,
Yeah.
it's a given manual load. No, don't worry about it. You're fine.
I had to go.
Make sure your stuff. If you're loading like a 308, let's say, Rick, Kyle's talking about 308, and you switch from Federal or Remington brass over to military brass, put the brakes on a little because that has less powder capacity, and you are going to raise pressures. But all things being equal, as long as you're following your recipe, don't be afraid of compressed loads. Those are usually some of your best ones.
Every load, and I'm sure CW will back this up with his 25 sharps. Every load in my 6x45, which is very similar, is crunchy.
Yeah.
When I seat the bullets. And I got over being scared a long time ago.
That hammer I got, that 300 hammer, there isn't a load from 3/4 full to 3/4 up in the charts that isn't almost a full case, and most of those are ball powders, and ball powders don't compress. I don't know how they get these bullets in these cases for these loads.
Yeah, if you need a extension for your press ram arm, there's a problem there.
I've seated ball powders in the 300 blackout, especially where you load the bullets, seat them, put them in your box, and come back the next day, and they grew.
They pushed out.
Yeah. So they're still safe, but you just can't get the powder you need, which also means you can't get enough powder in there to make yourself dangerous.
Yeah, I was on 30-30 loads with compressed ones.
Yeah.
I think I was using 30-31.
You
But
get
if you're
over
using,
it.
slow powder. If you're trying to do that with a real fast powder, you can definitely get into trouble. That's why we've all said make sure you're following data that's published.
Yep.
Yeah, you get over it after a while, and you also realize that, and maybe I shouldn't say this, but a lot of the books are kind of lawyered up and safe. If you're using a book from 40 years ago, don't. The powders are different. It's a good way to blow up your gun.
Well, that's kind of like what I was going to tell Bobby. I mean, worst case scenario, you're talking about a gun in your face. I mean, look at this face. It'd probably be an improvement. So
I doubt a 700 bolt would improve your face.
Yeah.
But you know, the old spearbook with a stagecoach on it. That's a good indicator. I've compared it to the modern spearbook, and boy, is it different. You know, it's way different. And what changed? The legal system or the powders? You know,
Well, I think it's a little bit of both there, Mike. Because
probably so.
the powders may have the same numbers and manufacturers, but it's not the same powder as it was 40 years ago.
Mm-mm. No,
Yeah.
What are we talking about? Which powder?
Any of them.
any of them. I mean, we started off with Mr. Hodgkin buying a train load of World War II surplus powder, and look at the powders we have today. I mean, you don't think 3031 or 4895 has changed? It's changed.
Well, I thought that's why they made ratchet straps and strings for, is to test out those loads.
Well, I ain't seen a Kevlar mask yet.
Bobby Barlow is saying this is a 22 Hornet with little gun powder, 35 grain bullet.
Yeah, it's a pretty full load. It's about 13 and a half grains. That's a pretty good load, and it's a full case.
Your brass will split before you have a problem.
Yeah, but once it does split, boy, you play hell getting it out.
Yeah, I know. I saw a guy, and I've told this story before. I saw a guy load a 6.5 Creedmoor. He was a new reloader. He thought he knew better, and he loaded 5 grains of Varget over max. 5 grains.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mercy.
Well, yeah, it was mercy, all right. He fired his first shot. I was down at the range that day observing, fired a few shots myself. And he said, Mike, you got an explanation for this? And he pulled his bolt out and his brass was stuck to it. I said, hand me that bolt. I said, meet me back at the shop. And me and another customer who's a bench rest guy, we gently pried that thing. It had welded itself to the ejector.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what
it's
happens is that it's
flowed.
like a cup. It's
Yeah.
like a cup. The end of the bolt is like a cup. So the brass sits down in there, and that brass swelled so much with the pressures, it welded itself into that recess of the bolt.
And it also stamped 6.5 Creedmoor, 6.5 Creedmoor on the bolt face. So how much pressure does it take for brass to etch steel?
Over 70,000.
I was going to say that was an 80,000.
Yeah, it's over
PSI
70, 74, something like that is the number.
And that Remington 700 took it. So
oh yeah,
that three rings of steel is not
real
BS.
thing.
Yeah,
it's a real thing. But yeah, once you start moving brass, you're dangerous pressures. You know, loosening primer pockets, that's moving brass. That's
I don't even know what happened to the primer on that load. It just
isn't it funny? They just evaporate. Yep. Where can they go? Out that little fire pinhole. I don't know where they went.
I don't know if y'all seen the video I posted earlier today, but yeah, there's some crazy stuff out there. I got a box tote full of ammo and cases. A friend of mine got from where he works, one of the storage units.
Mm-hmm.
Primers are in backwards, standing off. It was all kinds of crap in this thing. He goes, I don't know what to do with it. Here, you want it? Yeah, I'll pull it apart and fix them. Just crazy. I wouldn't pull a trigger on one of them though.
No.
Well, I tell people all the time, a proud primer is death on a stick on an AR. I mean, you load around the military way, slap it home and pull it out. It's got a mark on it. And you realize, I think I'll use CCIs. And all primers, for you new guys, all primers aren't created equal. Federals and Winchesters tend to have softer anvils than CCIs. I don't know about a lot of the new variety. We don't have Gene here today, like the Magtex and the some of the European stuff.
Versio, yeah.
Yeah, that's yet to be tested. But I had a Ruger ranch rifle and 300 blackout that had an extremely long chamber, and after finally getting around to go off, I had to use a Winchester primer and fire formed it and measured it, and it was to the very, very, very long length at the end of Sammy spec. Well, started measuring factory ammo, and most of it's loaded to the very short length of Sammy spec. So that's why the gun wasn't going off. And I called Ruger. They told me a fix, and I sent something back. And anyway, I thought it was BS. It never really fixed the gun, but once I fire formed the brass, I was fine. I could fire CCIs in it. So it was just sort of a pain in the butt, which is why I have a CZ 300 blackout.
Yeah, I can't shoot military primers or Magnum primers in my Ruger. I got to drop the hammer on them 2, 3, 4 times sometimes. It's not doesn't have the oomph to do it, or the firing pin's short, or whatever the case is, but it won't do it.
It's probably the chamber.
It's an issue because my buddy's got a Gen 2 and his won't fire them. And my other buddy's got an older Gen 1, newer Gen 1, a later model Gen 1. Mine's a very early Gen 1. And his won't, or it has difficulty with them. But I don't care.
If you're a reloader, but if you're the average guy, you're going to send that rifle down the road.
You're going to send it right back. Yep, send it down the road.
Yep. Their fix for me was to send the bolt back. And I asked the lady, the first lady said, well, you should only be shooting guerrilla ammunition out of it. And I went, what?
Yeah.
I said, honey, give me your supervisor. And then the supervisor came on with, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about. Send the bolt back. What's the bolt going to do? You know, and the bolt on the Rugers are serialized. So I sent the bolt back. I don't know if they put a longer firing pin in it or what. I got back my same bolt, but it was the same issue. The chamber was cut so long that once you fire formed it, you could shoot CCIs. It hit them hard enough, but you had to fire form them like 3 or 4 times, to get it completely done, and that was a pain in the butt.
So before we get into our topic tonight, just a quick question to go around the panel. What's your favorite primer, general purpose?
Probably CCI.
Yep, CCI.
6.
Yep, I mainly use CCI, but I've been using a lot of those ratios in my cowboy loads, though.
CCI for me.
Kyle?
Fiocchi. I use some Fiocchi.
My go-to is CCI, but it depends. Now it depends on what's available and what's on sale, but my go-to is CCI.
I'm talking about money's no object. Everything's available. Raleigh says the ones I can afford.
Yeah.
So
CCI 450 Magnums.
I like the Federal premiums. I like Federal match primers. If I'm going to indulge, I'll switch to a match primer for a lot of what I do.
As long as you can buy by the 1,000,
Right.
Yeah. Nice shot of moonshine primes me up pretty good.
Glenn Davis is CCI. Alaska 1 Andy CCI. I hate to buck the trend here, but if I had my druthers, that's a Southern thing, I guess. Um, I'm taking Winchester.
It'd be probably my last choice. I'd take Remington first.
Yeah, I'd go with Remington or CCI. I agree with Christian.
That's all
I'm
I
with you.
usually do
I'm
for
with you,
Remington.
Jamie. That'd be my second choice, only because Remington hasn't, it's a regional thing. Remington hasn't been so much available here, and especially after the Freedom Group collapse and the Vista Group takeover. Now the Vista Group sell to the Czech Group, and so Remington primers haven't been available. When I develop a load, I don't want to develop it again, and that's what we've run into with this shortage. And CCI has been available, Winchester's been available, and now you've got some of the what I'll call exotics that probably become mainstream. There's a lot of players in the market now, but I don't know anybody. I know one guy that's stuck on BR4s, and I've
They're good
never.
primers.
They are, but I kind of got snake bit. I bought 1,000 BR4s one time mistakenly. I was thinking I was picking up 450s, and I actually bought them from the store I own now, and a lot of them did go off, and I had to hit them twice. And the 450s, I've never had that problem. And
I've never seen that.
Yeah, it was just that box, CW, probably, but it kind of swore me off that. And then someone at a bench rest contest, there was a federal rep there, and they asked, "What's the difference between federal small rifle and federal small rifle match?" And he looked at him and grinned and said, "The price."
I thought he was going to say the box.
And the box. And I'm starting to think, how do you run a match primer, and or what are they, hand inspected? No way. No way.
Probably Wade.
Wade, maybe. That would be a good.
Somebody was saying that the people that had the most seniority made the match primers. What guy that's been there the longest
I'd heard that too.
made the match primers.
Oh, they get to hit the green button?
Yeah.
All right. So quickly, for you guys in the side chat, if you don't reload, what's your favorite brand of ammunition? Which is the primers. But yeah, I'm a Winchester guy. I like Winchester.
Winchester put a real sour taste on my mouth in the past few years, and they haven't done anything to make it any better lately.
Well, the thing, the reason I'm that way, I think, is of the very few just plain out failure to fire of my hand loads that I've experienced. They've all been with CCI primer. And that's only like maybe in 12 to 15 years, I would say that's been less than a dozen. So it ain't really. Crash, what's going on, man? He says, whatever's on sale. Yeah, Glenn Davis is like, factory ammo, don't curse me, man. I know, right?
As far as large rifle, I've been running on a brick that I bought in the 80s because I don't shoot that much of it. So, and they're Remingtons. Back when Remington was Remington.
I bought, I don't know, about 4 or 5 bricks of Federal 250s, about 2018 or 2019 for a deal. And I've been using them across the board on all kinds of rifle stuff. That's a federal. I'm sorry. Yeah, federal 250. Federal 210.
When I
210.
started, everything was
That's
ready.
right.
That's all I bought.
And I've been using them on everything, and they've been great. The CCI are 250s. The federal are 210. Yeah.
There's Ron, 2A Matters. We're going to call the side chat out here in just a minute. But what I want to know is, why would somebody do me like that right there? I just want to know. You know, I've never done anything to Daniel except one thing. And he abuses me with Jiffy Mix every freaking weekend. Does he not? Does he not? Does he or does he not? I ain't done nothing but try to love him and be good to him. And now he's not only hitting me below the belt with the Jiffy Mix crap, but the Winchester White Box is just piling on, dude. Come on. And this is the thing. I just like I can't stand to buy factory ammo. I just can't. I just can't stand
There
it.
you go. Gold medal match. That's what I got a bunch of.
There you go. And those are on sale at, where did we say?
Mid-South,
Mid-South Shooter Supply.
80.
Almost half off the
Yeah.
MSRP.
Y'all
Yeah.
want me to make you sick? Look at the price written on the. Jamie, you might want to blow that up.
No, I don't.
Don't that make you sick?
Yeah.
I mean, that was from that last estate. And so I can justify loading now that I got 1,000. I can justify working up a load with one rifle with those. And I'm not going to, like a 308 or whatever. I've got a Remington 308 I haven't loaded for yet, but I got some gold medal match ammo at a deal, and I'm going to probably sight it in with that and see how she shoots. I've bedded it, and it's a factory gun, but I've bedded it and all that kind of good stuff. And
Another country heard from, Jamie.
Right. This needs attention, because that boy has eaten my cornbread.
oh, Lord, Ricky.
He knows better. See, that is pure, unadulterated abuse right there.
He said he knows better.
It's an abomination, is what it is. You need to go to church this Sunday. I mean, my Lord.
You need some Jesus and some buttermilk in your life.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right. This is the thing. Since we're being all like that, I'm gonna call out the side chat. And since Walter ain't here to tell me what to type in, it's
Jiffy.
Jiffy. So
There
y'all
you
type
go.
in Jiffy and we'll call your name out on TV.
Jiffy.
Mr. Bob, I have not seen Jiffy Pop in a long time. Y'all remember how the aluminum foil used to pop up and all that?
I hadn't seen that in a minute either, man. Wow.
A lot of people don't realize that if you take straight cornmeal, whether white or yellow, and then a lot of people around this part of the state say yellow cornmeal's for the mules and yellow corn's for the mules and white corn is for liquor and cornbread, and I don't have that problem. But if you put baking powder and baking soda in cornbread and put some buttermilk in it, it'll rise just like flour. You don't need no flour. It'll
No,
rise just like
don't
flour. All
need
you
no
need is baking grease.
and you don't need no sugar. All right, here we go. I'm calling out the side chat. Y'all ready? Hey, Miss Kitty. So, CW Longshot was in there first. He's on the panel in the side chat. So is Andy79Z28, and so is Kyle Lusk. So is Hillbilly Up. And Vanessa Kitty knows where buttermilk comes from. That's a blessing on my soul. Mike Hester's also on the panel. So is Texas 6. Ricky Baird, my brother, is out there. Good to see you, my man. Christian Gress, Dwayne 7834, Bobby Barlow, Alaska 1, Andy, Edward Petty, 01 guy, Tommy Boy, Rollis Carbellis, the gun genius, Vanessa Kitty again, Alaska 1, Andy, Glenn Davis, Garage Guy 879, what's going on? What's your email? I hope to get you an email tomorrow, Garage Guy. Bama Dad says, White Lily, thank you. Although Martha White is the one with hot fries. Garage Guy 879, William C. Chapin, who lives close to the Jiffy Factory up there in Michigan. Daniel God is my judge. Hillbilly Up. That's right. Hillbilly, I forgot about Jiffy Peanut Butter.
Ah,
That's the good stuff, man. Edward Petty, Ricky Baird, Ron 2A Matters, Dale Pogue. I think we're about caught up. Let's see. Crash. Don't worry about being late, brother. We're glad you're here. Kyle Lusk, Three Rivers, I believe, is pretty much down on Cotton Block, on the other side of Cotton Block.
look at Vanessa Kitty getting all technical. Leavening agents are important. Yes, they are, ma'am.
Yes, they are. And Mr. Bob says Amazon and Walmart both have Jiffy Pop.
Well, have at it.
I guess I've not seen it because I hadn't been looking for it. Man, y'all guys are a ton of fun. I'm so glad we do this. Now to our topic. Are y'all ready?
Yes.
Okay. If y'all remember correctly, last week, I proclaimed that this week we were going to talk about the Winchester 92 because it came after the Winchester 1886. I was mistaken. Marlin has two rifles coming in between the Winchester 86 and the Winchester 92. Marlin released an 1888 and an 1889. So, look, at this point in this series, we're getting to the point where new models are coming out very often. And I think from the Winchester 73 until the turn of the century, new designs are released every 2 to 3 years on average, or so. That's the way it seems to me. So the Marlin Model 1888, which was patented in 1887, this is Marlin's first venture into what they refer to as pistol length cartridges. And Marlin moved from the big to the small. Remember, their 1881 was 4570, so forth and so on. The 88 was built from August of 1988 through October of 1899 primarily. The exceptions being that they built two in 1890 and they built two more in 1892. So I'm assuming that these are special order rifles, correct?
Deuces cow.
So this rifle was developed in response to the popularity of the Winchester, the Colt, the Kennedy, Burgess, pistol caliber repeating rifles, and carbines. So most people would tell you that it was superior to them all. It was lighter, stronger, and more dependable than the Winchester 73 due to fewer moving parts, but the Winchester still dominated sales. So the 1888 was doomed to a 2-year production cycle. We'll get to why in a minute. But they made approximately 4,800 of them, and 1,298 were chambered for 3220 WCF. The rest were in 3840 or 4440. See my other notes. So, y'all want to see a picture of it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to see one being shot? That's a better question. Hold on just a minute.
3220 is a neat little round.
Let me see if I can make this happen here.
Big brother to my 2520.
Yeah, my grandpa, he always wanted another 1888 top projection. He said he loved it because of the short stroke action on it.
Oh, look at that.
That's beautiful.
Look at that 24-inch octagon barrel. Look at the wood,
Oh, that is gorgeous.
the crescent butt shape.
Really?
There's the other side of it. Now, this particular is one that they had on auction.
I don't even want to know what it went for.
Well, I could tell you.
Go ahead. I got a guess.
Look at that wood. The metal's still in great. Now, there's no bluing left. You got some gap here between the metal and the wood.
Hey, when you get older, the wood shrinks.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Andy, you nasty man.
Well, you're looking at it right there. The wood shrinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And coming up here is a picture of the barrel markings. Notice that blade sight made out of brass. At Remington's Firearm Company, New Haven, Connecticut, USA, patented October 11th, 1887.
And that's a Marlin?
This is a Marlin.
Was it contracted to Remington?
What?
He said Remington, but he meant Marlin.
Okay. All right.
Marlin Firearms Company.
All right. You said Remington. So
I'm sorry.
kinda
Where did
blew-
that come from?
Yeah, I'll
my
vouch
head.
for that. You did say Remington.
Okay, I'll tell you why. Let me stop this. Let me tell you why I had that Freudian slip. I'm getting ahead of myself. There was a fella named L.L. Lewis Hepburn who, in my humble opinion, revolutionized the lever action rifle. He worked for Remington, and they filed bankruptcy in the mid to late 1880s. And he designed the rifle that we just looked at in obviously 1887 because y'all saw the patent date, right? And there's some discrepancies in my research about when he actually went to work for John Marlin at Marlin. So immediately he was working on the side ejection system. And when it was ready, the model 1889 was released. Anything else I need to talk about on 1888?
Did that rifle auction off for $8,500?
No.
Just a guess.
I do not have a date, but the winning bid was $1,300.
Good Lord. That's low price.
It was Simi Valley, California. Marlin model 1888 3840 with a 26-inch octagon lever action barrel.
That sounds cheap.
That is cheap. There's my buddy Mark Thomas. What's going on, buddy?
Hello. Sorry I'm late.
Hey,
Had some
Mark.
things to do. Hello. Doing good. We had a fun day at school today. It was our outside field day. So we were outside playing games and just enjoying ourselves. But I'm tired. My feet are tired and I'm cooked by the sun. So I'm going to try to stay awake for the duration, but we'll see.
We'll see. We're talking about the Marlin model 1888 and 1889. Okay, so the 1888 was Marlin's first, what we would call pistol caliber rifle or carbine. So remember this guy, L.L. Hepburn, and he was working on the side ejection system, and the 1889 was patented in April 2nd, 1889, and it also had a tag of the original 1888, which was August 11th of 1887. So the 1889 was the first side ejection lever action made and Marlin's first carbine. This rifle was basically the 1888 design, except it was improved with, of course, the side ejection feature. It had an improved locking lug and firing pin system that prevented out of battery detonations. And it had a cartridge carrier that raised automatically. It closed the magazine after the head of the cartridge was passed into the carrier to prevent jamming up the action. So this one was just like the other one. These three cartridges basically offered in 3220, 3840, and 4440. But there was one exception. They made 34 each in 2520. So the 1889 was a popular gun. It was with 55,000 of them produced from 1889 to 1903. And it was considered state of the art in its day. So let me back up for a minute. I got ahead of myself. Let's do this. I want to show y'all. And this, I'm going to show y'all a video of a guy shooting the 1888. But it's it's not good. The video is dang, I can't find it. The audio is terrible. There it is. All right, here you go. Y'all ready? Did y'all see how beat up that stock was? It was actually broke right there at the pistol grip. Okay, now let me show you a picture of the 1889 if I can find it. All right, here we go. This is 1889, and y'all can tell that it looks very, very familiar to what you're seeing today. It's got the side eject. You see the plate right there. Color case hardened butt plate, octagon barrel. And like I told you, it was this rifle was this is basically the predecessor of all the ones that we can still, well, that you're familiar with Marlin to this day. It's more of an 1894 style with the bolt that goes
square bolt, side eject
thing. And they ain't changed a lot since. 32, 20, 38, 40, and 44, 40. So
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
So that's kind of what we're talking about today. So this one, remember I said to give you some idea of what we're actually talking about in the way of sales. The 1888, they made 4,800 of them between August of 88 and October of 89. So you think about 4,800 rifles being made in what, 15, 16 months, something like that. That's pretty good production for a small independent company like Marlin was at the time. And then you think about the fact that Winchester sold almost 750,000, almost 750,000 between 1873 and the end of their production run. So, but the 1889, well, both of them had the same price. Guess what MSRP for these two rifles were when they were released in 1888 and 1889?
$35.
That's closer than I thought you'd get. That's too high.
Holy crap.
$18.
Wow. I'll tell you what, line them all up. I'll give you $18 a pop for all of them.
Right? Yeah. Daniel got as my judge guessed 75.
Jamie, you see the private chat?
Yeah, man. We'll certainly get with that at the top of the hour.
Yeah, just didn't know if you saw it.
Hey, man. Thank you.
It's a quickie. He sent me something, so
Okay.
I can use it.
Fluffy 10 millimeter Jeep guy said his buddy's got a 1912 model 92 and 4440. I'm glad y'all are interested.
I'm still trying to get over the $18. But I mean, that was a lot of money back then, though. You know.
Yeah, it was. Hey, Miss Brooke, glad you're here, hon.
Yeah, back then, a dollar used to be worth $3.
No, a dollar was worth a lot more than $3.
Yeah, I believe Garage Guy said that's rifleman territory. You know what? I think the rifleman really did use a 1892. Have you guys ever noticed this for all y'all? Have y'all ever noticed that in cowboy movies, it don't make a rip what year the setting is in the movie? They always using the 1892.
That's $605.93 in today's money. $18.
There you go.
$18.
It's still pretty cheap. If you think about it, $600 for a lever action today, most of them are $1,000. So
Yep.
Yeah.
most new levers are $1,000 today. So $600 is actually a good price.
I was watching a movie the other day. It was another pre-Civil War, and they're pulling out 1873 Colts.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Curtis, that's awesome, man. I'd love to see that. He has a 92 and 3840 manufactured in 1893. That's like the second year of production. Mr. Bob says, adjusted for inflation, $18 is about $571.
Still a lot of money.
That's what I'm talking about, Garage Guy. That's exactly my point. Miss Brooke, I'll try to send you a link if you want me to.
If y'all wondering how he could shoot it that fast, was he had a set screw drilled and tapped through the lever. He never touched the trigger.
Yeah, it just automatic. Edward Petty, his model 92 is in 2520, 1907.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's about, they're in that high 5 to low 7 category, depending on which caliber you get.
And unless you want it all shiny, like mine,
Yeah.
pay a little bit more money for the shine.
Brooke, typing on a phone is even harder when you're driving down the road. You're moving and you're trying to hit those little bitty, yeah. Levers are expensive.
Yeah, real world price on those are not anywhere close to the hundreds. They're in shooting shape.
Oh, you talking about the 1892s and stuff?
I'm talking about any old Marlin.
Yeah.
Period. You know, you're even going into the Blue Book, which is fairly conservative. You're talking about a lot. I've sold a 1906 3855 with color case hardened still present on the side of the plate. Very good in protected areas for $2,500. And the guy was happy to pay that.
Wow. It's going to turn into like my Henry 44 Magnum. It's a safe queen. I've taken it out and shot it a lot, but I'm never taking it into the woods on horseback.
Shot my Henry many a time. 3 years of cowboy shooting with it. Even used smoke or black powder in it.
You can pick up a used cowboy gun cheap because you know that thing's been shot to death.
They are, but the 73s are the way to go in cowboy shooting. Get that short stroke kit. And they said those 88s, those Marlin 88s we were talking about, were even quicker than the 73s. It's hard for me to imagine.
Yeah, I don't. You heard me earlier, but yeah, my grandpa always talked about how he loved the 88
I would always say,
short stroke on it.
did Wyatt Earp or Doc Holliday use a short stroke kit? Well, they would have if they were available.
Right?
Yeah. Hillbilly, I got to tell you something, man. Let me see if I can find this and show.
All righty.
You ain't going to believe what I got in an email today. When I saw it, I thought of you.
Oh, no.
Run away. Run away.
Yeah. Yeah, Willie Chaplin out there. Yeah, I'd love for High Point to make a lever gun.
It'd be a seltzer slayer.
Can you see that?
Oh, yeah. Red, white,
High
and blue.
Point
Baby.
Hydro Drip Grand Union flag, semi-automatic.
I love it.
I'm like, you need to buy one of those.
I do, no doubt about
That
that.
is. That is.
I mean, if High Point had any sense, they would send you one, dude. What I'm talking about.
I'd bet the good yeast, no doubt about that.
There's my brother MCK.
Hey, bud.
My coworker picked him up a Kuna last weekend.
A what?
Kuna.
Is that that?
Yet?
Is
Yeah,
that
that's
that
that one.
Springfield?
Yeah, that Springfield pistol thing.
Yeah.
Well,
I had a
talking about High Point and pistol. High Point just come out with their pistol rifle, or well, they're calling it a pistol. It's just like that gun right there, except for looks like they just cut the stock off right behind the hand grip. Other than that, it looks identical.
I had a customer order a M1A national match last week. It came in yesterday. He picked it up today. He was so happy. He's an older man. He had sold his service rifle and years ago when he needed money, and he said, I was bound and determined to get it back, and this is the only way I can get it back.
I know, Del Pogue. It was up high. Mr. Bob, I wish I could do my 92 that fast. I'm telling you. But the Rossies, with a little polishing and a little TLC, can be
Super smooth.
pretty good. And if you take some material away, it can be quicker to get apart and put back together. So you ready, Dr. Zink?
I'm ready. Hello, everyone. Anyone that's listening, remember last summer I had the pleasure to shoot 50 BMG from police sniper team was at the range. And they let me pop a few rounds at 300 yards, and I shot better than they did. So anyway, I put two basically in the same hole. Two holes were touching. Anyway, they were 600 grain bullets. Now let's see how I can. Hot Pot sent me these to make keychains out of the brass I have.
That's your thumb.
I'm just trying to,
Oh,
Yep.
it's a big round.
that's 600 grains.
Wow.
Now, to give you more information on this specific one, the 600 grain 50 BMG bullet has a muzzle velocity of about 2,800 feet per second. I'm not going to get all the ballistic coefficients. It says effective range can be accurate to 1,000 yards with a skilled shooter. Experienced snipers can engage targets at 1,500 yards or more. Now, this in zinc weighs 360 grains. I wonder how fast that would come out of that muzzle.
How did I know you were going to bring zinc into this?
Yeah, but just think about it. This is 2,800 feet per second. I'm going to cut 140 grains off the weight of this bullet and load it with the same amount of powder. How fast do you think it would go? That's the question I have on it. But I just wanted to show it. People that haven't dealt with it. That is the bullet. This is the brass. So
With a zinc bullet, you could mount that on a satellite and kill missiles. You know.
I'm just trying to relate to, just saying it's 140 grains lighter. So I wonder, let's see if I put in 350 grain. Did I make a 350 grain bullet? Okay, what do they say on here? Well, see, that's loaded different. Okay, it's only 27. It's 2,700 feet per second, and 1,300 foot-pounds. It says on this one for 350 grains. So the zinc is going to come out. If I load it to say, load it up hot, it's going to be close, a little closer. It'll be in that 27 to 2,800 feet per second, and
that's a 50 BMG.
yeah.
Yeah.
Del Polk said 4,490 feet per second.
That's a ear splitting Loudon boomer.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's what Hot Pot had that gave to Andy.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Andy.
Keep dropping the bullet.
Preacher, I love banjos too, bro. I'm wanting to buy one so bad I can taste it.
As long as I don't hear them floating down a river.
Oh, come on. Like you'd be floating down a river anyway.
Well, I float down more rivers than you think.
Preacher's Day Off says lever guns are ancient technology. And I think that's the point of what we're doing here is kind of reliving our history as and building up to what we have these days.
I just looking up the date on the 50 BMG. It's strange. The lighter bullet is loaded at a lower velocity. Yeah, I don't have load data on. I just have the speed. 2,700 for the 350 grain, and the 600 grain is coming out 2,000 at 800 feet per second.
Andy, that's probably so it doesn't spin apart. It's the RPM thing.
Yeah, maybe.
I was thinking it'd be going through the air so fast it'd melt itself.
Well, that's why you have to use the zinc. It melts at a higher temperature.
Yeah, but if you push it at 4,200 feet per second, man, that's a little
Yeah, our RPMs is what tear a bullet apart.
Yep.
And to the lever guns being ancient technology, why are they still so relevant today?
Yeah,
As far as
it may be ancient, but we all have them.
My purpose of my Rossi 92s and 357 was I didn't want to buy a different caliber, and I have pistol 38s and 357s, so I went with that.
Yep.
And I really couldn't find a bolt action, not for anything you could buy price wise. So very happy with the Rossi. It's breaking in well. I got just a couple. I want to tweak the side gate spring a little bit, and or the loading gate, I should say, and maybe cut an inch or two off the spring, the tube spring.
Preacher's day off. Why do grown men still play dress up? I guess you're saying I shouldn't be trying to get into cowboy action shooting now, right? Just to release our inner
I
child.
wonder if preacher stirs to the right or to the left.
Yeah, well, both guns come with magazines, so to reload is quicker. You know.
everybody wants to be Gus McRae. That's the thing. Gus McRae.
You know, I had that on playing the other day when we were in the last summer at my work. We had almost 450 Chromebooks to repair over the summer. This year we have almost 800.
Good God.
This is unsustainable, man. You can't keep doing this. So the parts are, killing us. Preacher says I would never cross 6. Anyway, while we were working on all those Chromebooks, I had open range on. And
Don't stand behind me, boss.
Yeah. And that's the point, William. C. Chapin is dead on it. Lever guns are uniquely American. We didn't copy them from France or Germany. Andy, I want to thank you for filling in for.
That's just something I thought of when we were chatting that he wasn't here, and I had something I could bring up. I just got him this week. He sent them out to me.
That is awfully cool. But let me ask you this: if you pictured that bullet in that piece of brass, does that look familiar to you? If you could imagine that. Basically, what I've read before is that the 50 BMG
upsized 30-06
is just a blowed up 30-06.
Now, what's a 222? It's a scaled down 30-06.
Pretty much. Yep. Pretty much.
We've got a sighting, Jamie.
We do, don't we? Let me do this. I know Andy's getting creeped out. And we'll count us down, Mark.
3, 2, 1.
West Coast weirdo. Had to throw that in there.
Yeah.
Well, how is Mario doing tonight?
He has been feeling. Oh, I was telling y'all about Gene had his teeth pulled, the ones that's been giving him trouble. He had those pulled today, so he begged out. So I don't blame him.
No, I don't blame him either.
I
He's
would,
drooling into a pillow and not feeling any pain.
right, I would be hunting a bed as quick as I could.
That's like me last Friday. So, but on the other end,
Wait a minute.
There you go, bro.
Six, did you pull someone else's teeth?
nope.
All right, you said the other end. That's
Yeah, do you have teeth on the other end?
Had a biopsy on my prostate last weekend.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Oh, got you.
The other end of your body. Okay, got you.
I was just confused of where the teeth came in.
Fluffy said he's got 2 Marlins, 30, 30, 35, 30, 36.
Is that thunder?
Yeah.
Is that
I
you,
didn't know
Jamie?
you guys saw that. There was a heck of a good flash right outside my window here.
Oh, that's Mark. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we're expecting some of that tonight too.
We got ours this morning.
We are.
We got 1 Marlin, 1 Henry, and 2 Winchesters. I'm gonna be using both Winchesters tomorrow.
I got 7 Marlins and 1 Winchester. 2 of those being 39As, one of them being pre-side safety. Great rifles.
There's Abigail.
Hey, Abby.
That's wrong, CW. We always heard, in Georgia, we always heard the toothbrush was invented in Alabama.
It was invented in West Virginia.
See, it
No.
depends on where you're at.
Yeah.
Now, Jamie, tell them why it was called a toothbrush.
Well, it's on the screen from CW Longshot.
Oh, yeah.
I can only say that because my wife's from West Virginia and has all her teeth and is a beautiful woman. But I constantly tell her she was born with her eyeballs on top of her head and things like that, you know.
Abigail, I have not seen that movie.
What kind of malarkey is this? Where is it? Hold on, I gotta get a button. Let me get stuff here because this can't be right. I'll get it. I'll find it. I'm behind the times over here. I gotta fast forward because I was in the side chat. Where is it? Where is it? It's coming. It's coming.
What movie are you talking about, Jamie?
Right here. What is this? That can't be true.
In Oklahoma, there's
There's no such thing as no wind in Oklahoma.
no
Yeah,
kidding.
that's what I was thinking when I read that.
But say there ain't no trees to stop it from going anywhere.
Have you ever seen Kent Rollins try to use saran wrap?
I can absolutely believe it's beautiful, but no wind. I gotta call foul.
He's probably saying there's no wind right now.
Yeah, that or he's in his living room with the windows closed.
What Abigail's saying is ancient Norse mythology that there's heavy thunderstorms. Okay, Thor's riding his chariot across the sky, so that's what she means by that. I assume. I'm not Norse. I'm Scotch Irish. We just drink more and look up at the sky and go, yeah, whatever.
Let me get another one.
Yeah.
GGW's got a list. 22, 25, 20, 30, 30.
Missing a couple good ones, but you got a lot of nice ones.
Yeah.
No 22 mag. No 308.
CW wasn't the 25-20, kind of the 22 mag of its day, sort of
Yeah, it's close.
small critter getter.
38.55, 375, 32.40.
Yeah, 25-20, you know, a lot of times on farms, they have them for just a varmint gun.
I'm loving that 25-20 10-incher gun. That thing shoots unbelievable. Such a joy to shoot. No recoil.
I've never shot one, but I remember when Willie came and brought that one for
Yeah, the 53. Yep.
duty.
Yeah.
And what did these ammo companies do without marketing? You know, back in the day, they just invented cartridge and see how it worked and see how the sales were. They didn't try to promote it as putting craters on the moon like a certain 264 cartridge I will not mention.
Well, Remington to me was the world's worst. That
They didn't support their own
right
rounds.
The 260 and 280 were great cartridges, and they just left them to wither on the vine.
That's Remington. Yep. They never did much for that. But
CW,
frankly, none of them were. I mean, look at that 284 Winchester. If that come out today in a 1 8 twist, it would, or in 2018, I should say. If that come out in 2018 or 2019, just after the Creedmoor, you wouldn't see a Creedmoor.
That's right. There wouldn't be a PRC either.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, do you remember the old guy on 300 Blackout, Talon, that used to give you got to remember, guys, the 300 Blackout forum was run by one of the guys that kind of came up with the 300 Blackout and sort of swiped it from J.D. Jones and made it 300 Blackout. And there was a guy on that forum that just ripped Remington all the time because they didn't support their cartridges. And he actually got banned once and had to come back as another dude because he would just rip. I mean, the owner of the forum, the guy that was running the forum, would make a comment and he would just rip into him because, I mean, they didn't support 280. They didn't support 260. And it was true. It was true. He wasn't telling a lie.
Do y'all ever watch Banana Ballistics?
Yep.
He did a great video today on the 9 most useless calibers in recent years. And everything y'all are talking about was on that list.
Yep.
Like we needed another 7mm caliber.
Yep. Now it's the flavor of the day. Flavor of the day.
And he was talking about Remington not supporting their own cartridges. He said that's why it never took off.
Yeah.
You had 5 people that went, ooh, let's see what we can do with this thing that you can't get any raw materials for, that marginally, and when I say marginally means it doesn't exceed this other caliber that's been around for 40 years.
Well, if you go back to the early 1900s and take that away, and let's say they invented another cartridge to fight World War I and World War II with, and then they magically came out with the 30-06 today, and they didn't call it 30-06. They called it something else, some fancy, swanky name. It would be a light Magnum. It would be a PRC. Okay. And they would promote it as, they'd chamber it for a long throat so you could load heavier bullets and market it as the most remarkable cartridge ever. And it still is.
Yeah. Put Hornady's marketing behind it and see what you get.
Oh, they're genius.
Yep.
Hornady's genius. I mean, the Arc is a ripoff of the Grendel, period. Yep. Blatant ripoff.
They got sued over that, I thought.
I don't know if they got sued, but Bill Alexander held that.
Yeah, because they stole it from
yeah, Bill Alexander held that Grindle close to his chest for a long, long time.
264 LRH or LRV or whatever the heck you call it.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, guys, I'm going to bail out. Everybody having a great weekend.
Good night, Andy. Good to see you.
Good night,
Yeah,
buddy.
Thanks for being here, Andy.
Good night, everybody on the side chat.
Have a good night, buddy.
But everybody, now the 6 Creedmoor is coming into play, and
That's overshadowing the 6.5 a little bit.
oh yeah, and you let a guy start shooting PRC with it, get 700 rounds down the barrel, they're gonna realize, hey, I just shot a 243. At 243 is a great hunting round, but it's a barrel burner when you shoot it in matches. I had a guy won a lot of stuff with a 243, but one season of target shooting, yeah, he was due for a new barrel. He moved up from factory class to custom real quick. S- 700 rounds is a long time for hunting.
Yeah.
It ain't nothing for match shooting.
No. My 6.5 Creedmoor shoot it once a year, maybe twice, going to the range to test loads. I can't remember when I bought it, but it's already close to closing in on 500 rounds.
Yeah, my Weatherby's about due for a barrel. Of course, it has nothing to do with the massively overpowered rounds I'm sending down it, but that's what that barrel loves. So,
well, that's what Roy Weatherby's whole philosophy was behind. You know, that's why Weatherby's are the Linda Lovelace of rifles. And I'll for you reloaders, you know what I mean, and I'll leave that. This is a family show, so.
Yeah, there's certain rounds that will burn a barrel up pretty quick.
Oh yeah.
Well, in matches and such, just about all of them will. You know, you keep shooting the barrel when it gets too hot to hold on to, and you're burning that throat out. So it doesn't really matter if you're shooting a 22 Hornet or 2000 whiz bang.
That's a good point.
a 2000 whiz bang. I want one of them.
I saw a guy on Accurate Shooter who had retired his 6BR, and he retired it to prairie dog shooting only. And he put it in a cheap choke stock, and he was hitting prairie dogs at 600, 700 yards. And someone asked him how many rounds he had through it. He said, well, I've got about 6,500 through it. He said, it's not competitive anymore, but it's good enough for prairie dogs. So you got to get your mindset
Exactly.
right. I mean, the guys that shoot short range bench rests, if you're not shooting
Quarter-inch groups.
a 1,000th group, a 1,000th, 2,000th group.
As soon as that opens up, it's a burnout barrel. It's no good no more. Get a new barrel.
Yeah. And,
But to
and
the average guy, that's got 10 times the lifespan.
Exactly.
Not to mention that the average guy isn't going to shoot it when it gets ripping hot. You can fry an egg on it and cook bacon. And they're not going to shoot the loads that they're shooting. Bench rest shooters most of the time shoot the hottest thing imaginable. So their brass don't last squat.
But even if the guy does, if he has an occasional range section and shoots a couple of groundhogs a year, he's not shooting near the rounds that a short range bench rest guy's shooting. You know, I mean, that's apples to pecans. It's totally different.
There's been plenty of guys in prairie dog towns that have burned up barrels too, though.
Oh, I know a guy that ate up a 22-250 in one trip, a brand new one. He said, I got carried away. He said it was doing so good, and I was whooping everybody's butt and didn't have to judge for windage and blah, blah, blah. And he said, I got home And I went to the range and shot it one time, and it shot great, and shot the second time, and I guess a piece of the chamber went down the barrel, and I was flinging, it's like flinging a lemon pie at a target.
Turn a 22 250 into a shotgun, huh?
Mm-hmm.
We lost Mark.
The wise prairie dog shooter takes about 4 guns
Yeah.
and 4,000 rounds of ammo, and he rotates that off.
Yep. And he's back.
No, he never left. That was Hillbilly that fell off.
Oh,
Dang, I hate that.
it's about the time that I usually get bumped off too. I don't know why it happens. It'll always be about 9:30.
He
Hush.
left in the side chat. He left voluntarily.
I'll be getting ready for Kentucky rimfire.
There's a couple of cartridges we talked about this evening that this is not necessarily related to lever actions, but there's a interesting South American 3220 double action revolver that I've been watching at a local shop. I'm gonna wait another couple of weeks and go make an offer on it.
What is it? What's the name brand?
I can't remember what it is. It starts with an I, and like you said, it's South American. It's something. They're selling it as is, and they were trying to get like $2.99 out of it. I want to go after them about $175 and see if I can take it out of there.
Is it an Ithaca?
No. It's like an acronym. I'm not.
Is
not
it
sure
is it a Smith copy? That's the
Yes.
Well, all right, there you go.
IWB, IMB, IWB. What is that company?
Yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah.
And I was in another shop this evening, one that I've been giving an awful lot of custom to lately, and they had a Remington Model 14 pump in that 3840, which I'm curious about.
The original 10 millimeter.
Well, the barrel looks huge.
Yeah.
It's a real thin wall, and it doesn't have that usual spiral on the mag tube.
That's only in the longer ones with the pointed bullets, the 3840 ones.
So I'm curious about that one. And they've got a Savage pump in 35 rem. I think it's 175 or something.
170 should be. Well, there was probably a couple of different ones, but 170 is what comes to mind.
Yeah, those got my attention, so I'm gonna keep watching those for the summer. No, GGW, it's not IWI.
So CWI gave you a compliment today. My one of my partners, Trent, told a customer today, he said, I thought I knew something about reload until I came here. And he said, Mike and Chad could sit there and quote powders and quote loads and just out of rote memory and this or that. And I told Trent repeated that today. And I told him, I said, you ain't met nobody. I said, I ain't crap. I said, you ought to talk to my buddy CW Longshot. He said,
sticks in my head. I don't know why. It's so much.
And I said, he's played with more stuff than me. Not more modern stuff, but more old stuff. And I said, and he got into bullet casting. I said, it sticks in his head like it sticks in my head. I said, but the library's bigger.
Tell you, I can forget a name of somebody. I won't forget a face. If I meet you and I see your face, I'll remember you. But it takes me a while sometimes to remember names. I'll forget names.
Oh, I do too.
before we walk away from each other, I'll forget.
I was about to say while the conversation's going
Yeah,
on.
but
I-
stupid
I
gun
tend to-
information, like
I
when
tend
the
to
22
call-
Hornet came out, or when the 2520 was invented, or
I
when
know.
a gun was brought out. I that sticks in my head.
Ain't that stupid?
Yeah.
I mean, it is stupid. I tend to fail on people's names, so I'll go, "Hey, John," like that, and the guy will turn around and go, "You mean George?" Yep, yeah, George. You know, call everybody John, and somebody will answer something. You know.
Okay, it's past time for our verse of the week. So tonight I wanted to talk to y'all. I was hoping Walter would be here.
I don't know where he is. Where'd he go? He said this morning he was excited about tonight.
Yeah, somebody dropped in on him unexpected. I
Got a
think
better offer.
probably, yeah.
Better looking.
So tonight I want to talk to y'all about Joseph. So he was one of the 12 sons of Jacob, number 11, I believe. So Jacob loved Joseph and more than the other 12 sons. And I believe it was because he was Rachel's son, the wife he loved the most. And this child caused a lot of jealousy with the older 10. See, Joseph had dreams. Really, they were prophecies from God about his life to come. Pretty much visions or prophecies instead of just plain out dreams. And this is important in that God had to encourage Joseph to keep going and to push forward through the difficulties life would bring upon him, and in order for God to fulfill his ultimate destiny. So in these dreams, Joseph was superior even to his father and mother, and especially his 10 older brothers. So this angered the older brothers, and they began to plot his demise.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. And they threw him in a pit, and they planned to kill him all except Reuben. And Reuben's plan was to go and rescue him later. But what happened is a caravan came along, and the older brothers sold Joseph into slavery. And they took and killed a goat and threw the blood on Joseph's coat of many colors. Have y'all heard of Joseph's coat of many colors? And they convinced Jacob that his favorite son was dead. So the caravan took Joseph to Egypt, where he was sold to Potiphar. Now, Potiphar was the captain of Pharaoh's guard, and he worked his way up into being Potiphar's personal servant and the head of his household. So then Potiphar's wife made moves on Joseph, and he ran away. But as he ran away, she grabbed hold to his tunic or his coat, his overcoat, whatever you want to call it. And she accused him of attempted rape and even showed his coat that she had dragged off of him as he's running away from this woman. And they charged him with attempted rape and threw him in prison. So in prison, Joseph was quickly promoted to be in charge of the other prisoners. And 2 of Pharaoh's servants were thrown into prisons after they offended the Pharaoh. And they had dreams, and Joseph interpreted these dreams. Well, one of them was the cupbearer, and the other one was the baker. And the baker was executed. But the cupbearer was reinstated, and he forgot all about Joseph until Pharaoh had a dream. And then he remembered, the cupbearer remembered, and they went and got Joseph to come interpret the dream. And that dream was about 7 years of plenty and then 7 years of famine. So Joseph was put in charge of preparing for the dream's fulfillment. 7 years of plenty, followed by 7 years of famine. He saved everything up during the 7 years of plenty, so they had enough to make it through the famine. And so during the famine, God brought Joseph's family to Egypt, his dad, Jacob, and his 11 brothers, or 10 half brothers and one real brother. So he took care of them, but the brothers feared him. So when the dad got old and he started to get ready to die, and he blessed them all, so they were convinced that Joseph would have them all executed. That basically he was just waiting on Jake. They were just waiting. He was waiting on his dad to die, and then he was going to kill his brothers. That's what evil will get you. That's what a guilty conscience makes you start thinking paranoia. Remember what I tell y'all about paranoia?
Mm-hmm.
Just because you're paranoid don't mean they're not really out to get you, right? So that brings us to the verse of the week. And I want to read to y'all from Genesis chapter 50. And starting in verse 15, where Joseph reassures his brothers. When Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, they said, perhaps Joseph will hate us and may actually repay us for all the evil which we did to him. So they sent messengers to Joseph, saying, before your father died, he commanded us, thus you shall say to Joseph, I beg you, please forgive the trespasses of your brothers and their sin, for they did evil to you. Now, please forgive the trespass of your servants, of the God of your father. And Joseph wept when they spoke to him. Then his brothers also went and fell down before his face, and they said, behold, we are your servants. And this is our verse of the week. Let me put this up here. Joseph said to them, do not be afraid, for am I in the place of God? But as for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, in order to bring it about as it is this day, to save many people alive. Now, therefore, do not be afraid. Verse 21. Now, therefore, do not be afraid. I will provide for you and your little ones. And he spoke, and he comforted them and spoke kindly to them. So, MacArthur has a note there on verse 20. Let's start at verse 19. John MacArthur writes about verse 19, which is this verse. He says, this concise question tweaked their memory of his explanation of how God had put him where he was, in the place God intended for him to be at that time. And then verse 20, MacArthur writes, but God meant it for good. Joseph's wise theological answer has gone down in history as the classic statement of God's sovereignty over the affairs of men. The point I wanted to make tonight, the meaning of all this is God's sovereignty. He is God. Joseph was not. Neither am I. Neither are any of us. He was the second most powerful man in Egypt, and Egypt at that time was probably the most powerful country in the world. He was second only under Pharaoh himself. God used Joseph and the evil intents of his 10 half brothers to deliver Jacob's entire family into Egypt, where they grew into a nation of approximately 2 million people for over a period of about 440 years. God used Egypt, a pagan nation, as an incubator or a cocoon to grow his people into a formidable nation. Look, we're all going to go through rough times in our life, patches in life, and there will be trouble. Jesus told us to expect it. But we have to keep on keeping on. Will God use some of us for things as dramatic as what he accomplished using Joseph? I don't know the answer to that. but I know it should be that important to each one of us because it's that important to God. And that's what I got for y'all tonight.
Yeah, how many people would have looked at the brothers and not gone John Wick on them, you know? And he forgave them. That's awesome. It's what every man should aspire to be. Easy to say, hard to do.
Yeah, Daniel says the grain pits
That cat was the best fucker.
near the pyramids has the name Georgie. I think the French for Joseph is 3 letters, and obviously I can't pronounce it, but it's very similar to the name Jesus. Exactly, Walter. That was his dream that uh, even his mother and dad would bow to him, and that eventually happened. So yeah, they called him that dreamer. That's when they wanted to kill him because he prophesied, and all he was doing was repeating the dream that God had given him. It was a prophecy and a vision about what his life would be, but it made his brothers incredibly jealous. That's exactly right, Walter. Good point. Anybody else got any questions or comments? All right. We'll move on then. Thank y'all for indulging me with the verse of the week. I appreciate y'all allowing me to do this. But, we studied New Testament for a long time, and I'm just going through for the next few weeks and picking out some of my favorite Old Testament verses so we can go over them and realize that the Old Testament really is, it all points to Jesus, and the New Testament is all about Jesus. And,
Yep.
so there you go.
Good verse, Jamie.
Thank you, brother. There's a reason for all those tough spots we get in through life. Some of them are our own doings. Thank you, Walter. Some of them are God's work, getting you ready for what He's doing next.
I saw something today that made me think. It said, don't ever blame anybody else for the spot on the road you're on. It's your own asphalt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's Tim S. He missed the verse of the week.
Kyle, that's a good thing to remember about any loved one that's going through a tough spot. They're on their own asphalt. You can extend a hand, but ultimately only the good Lord's going to bring them off that spot.
Good night, Ron. Have a great weekend, boss.
Did you say he's going to Boston?
No, he said boss.
Oh, I thought he said have a good weekend in Boston.
There's no such thing.
That's what I was thinking. You know how bad Boston is? The Red Sox are coming to Atlanta to play this weekend. Even
Damn.
They showed that Harvard graduation with all them fools in top hats and all that what crap they were speaking, and it just made me want to throw up. I shouldn't watch that stuff, but I do.
That's
Yeah.
a good question, Timothy.
And it may be just because I like classic hats, but I wouldn't be caught dead wearing a top hat. If they were all in fedoras, you know. Okay.
All right, let's talk about this comment. But how do you think the brothers felt knowing the father cared nothing for them, but only Joseph and Benjamin? I think Jacob did love all of his sons. I just think he loved Joseph and Benjamin more than the others because they were Rachel's sons. And
How many wives did Jacob have? Just 2?
4. He wound up.
That could be a lesson in itself.
Well, he worked 7 years for Rachel, and then Laban, the father-in-law, switched up Leah for Rachel because the oldest daughter had to be married first. So then he worked 7 more years for Rachel. Then he married Rachel, and he grew prosperous under Laban. But as time went on, all right, you want to talk about jealousy, Tim? Check this out, man. Leah and Rachel were both his wives. Leah wound up having 6 children by him, 6 of the boys, and Rachel only had 2, and then she died before the others. That was cruel too. But the reason that Joseph wound up with 4 wives, the other 2 were Leah's maidservant and Rachel's maidservant. They gave their maidservants to him as wives also because they were jealous of how many kids each other were having. So, yeah, and Timothy, if you want to know about, there's a section, I think it's Genesis 49, 48, somewhere in there. Jacob's blessings to all of his sons are recorded. And you also got to remember this. God changed Jacob's name to Israel. So all 12 of the boys are patriarchs of the 12 tribes
Of Israel.
With one exception, and that is Levi. The Levites became God's tribe to take care of the temple and the tabernacle, and then there's Artak, and then so they were all loved. I just think that Joseph and Benjamin were his favorites. Wow. And if you study Genesis, Timothy makes a good point because Jacob wouldn't even let Benjamin go when they were trying to go back and get food during the famine. So, yeah. Anyway,
Lesson learned: only marry one woman at a time.
what about Solomon? Can you imagine he had 300 wives and 700 concubines?
No, I don't even want to go there. That's too much crazy in one room.
Well, we're going to get to them, Daniel. We're going to get to them in numerical order. I imagine the 94 will be right after the 92, depending on what Marlon's coming out with. So, yeah, we need to start going through the room. We got to clear the deck for our buddy Chad, and Chad Kelly's out there too. Good to see you, buddy. So, Kyle, you want to go first, bud?
I can do that. Good to see everybody in the side chat, as always. My plans for the next week are to stay dry, and I got to replace a fence in the backyard, so gonna be working on that between working at work, and that's all I got.
Well, thanks for being here, brother.
Thanks for inviting me, bro.
Rebel, you want to go next? I guess not.
He might have stepped away. He was cooking. Recently,
yeah.
got some stuff on the grill.
That chicken might be done.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, Mark, you can go.
All righty. Well, thanks for having me. Sorry I was a little bit late, but been a good day. Been a busy week. Finishing up with school. Looking forward to, after next week, having a lot of free time to reload and get to the range. Yeah. So just great to be here. Great conversation. Good friends. Look forward to it every week. So thanks for having me. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for being here, brother. We appreciate you. 6, you want to go next?
Hey, I can go. Well, tomorrow I'm going to North Zulch to play with the Willow Cowboys. I'm going to be an Indian fighter tomorrow.
Cool.
Yeah. Going to use both of my Winchester lever guns, a couple single actions and a double barrel. So hopefully then Sunday, maybe if the wife will let me, I'll go to shooting range and shoot my XP 100. So that's my plans for the week.
That's an excellent plan, man. Timothy Burkett's got a interesting question. And I was typing a response. I'll just cut this out. Mine would be 454 Casull because I have 357 and 44 already, but that's the only reason. So with that, CW, what you got coming up this week, brother?
I've got a couple of videos coming out from range days, shooting the 6mm TCU, which I'm enjoying the heck out of. Enjoying it so much, I've been talking with the guy who I bought it from. I bought it off a forum from a guy I've talked to for years. And when he put it up for sale, he had a 7 PCU barrel offered. And he reached out to me with an offer because he hadn't sold that barrel. So, yeah, I got a 7 TCU barrel coming. But I was thinking, because I've been shooting that, I shoot a lot that you don't see. I don't do videos on everything, but the 730 Waters that I like so much, always have liked so much, I came to the realization that it's not so pleasant to shoot next to a lot of these other calibers. So although I'll never be without one. I'll always have my carbine, which was my late wife's favorite. I think I might put that 14-incher on the shelf for a while and maybe even pedal it down the road, because that 7 TCU, I'm expecting it to be a lot more mild-mannered and a lot more pleasant to shoot. So we'll see how that goes. So watch for some videos on the 7 TCU caliber coming up. I also have had some requests for the 218B contender. So I'm going to do some of those as well. Then I'm on the range with the 223 and 300 blackout for a quick video, and there's one other range video there. I don't remember what it was about, but those are all coming next week. I'm going to make a run up tomorrow to a gun shop that's up by Ricky, where Ricky lives, about an hour away from me. Because last 2 times I was there, they had a couple of bullet molds that I looked at and resisted, and I'm not going to resist them anymore. So we're going to take a ride tomorrow. We're supposed to have a lot of rain here, so it's going to be a rainy day.
Good day for shopping.
I'm going to go for a car ride. I'm going to take my lady up for a car ride, and I'm going to pick up at least one of those bullet molds. And I got to pick up some bullets, 75 grain and 90 grain Sierras. I think they've got them up there, so I'm going to grab a box each of those as well. So that'll be that. We'll see what else I find. You never know. But I'll try and resist, because I just bought that barrel. So watch for that coming. I'm having a lot of fun with these contenders. And, I got to make a public apology, because I've had a lot of commenters in my videos are telling me I'm costing them money. It happens. Sorry. Good time tonight. Good chat. Thanks for everybody in the side chat. Thanks for everybody on the panel. Really good to see everybody. I really enjoy it every week, and I enjoy the banter in the side chat too. Sorry we didn't have Walter, and we're missing Gene. Hope his mouth isn't hurting him too awful bad. We'll say an extra prayer for him, and I'll turn it over to you, James.
I want to thank all y'all guys. I want to thank Tread for the links to all of our channels. Guys, if you haven't, you might want to think about subscribing to the Georgia Shooting Connection channel. We'd appreciate that. It'll give us a like. That'll help get it out there for more folks to see. And we appreciate y'all. We love you, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. Thanks to the panel. Thanks to the side chat. You guys are awesome. And I guess if the Lord's willing, we will see y'all next Friday night at 8 o'clock. Hope he all blesses all y'all real good. So we'll see y'all next time. Say good night.